Tickle it now. Hey, hey! We're back for another riveting edition of what we call Operation Magic, folks. I'm the one, the only James Kempin. With me tonight, as always, is my counterpart, the bald Stromboli himself, the one, the only
We're coming in
Joshua
hot.
Josh Dunn. Yeah, we're coming in hot tonight. We have a good show, I think, tonight.
Do I see the beard a little lined up today?
Mine?
Yeah, a little bit of a shape to it. Look at you go, man. You're almost looking like you might have the start of something great.
Well. So the fact is I line it up every once in a while. I line it out with that Irish look. It's got a little 5 o'clock shadow. It's been shaved for a couple days, but yeah, I kind of like this appeal. I like this. It's that Irish in me. Looks good. Yeah, yours is long and beautiful. Mine is just lined out. I line it out every so often, so I don't look like a bum all the time. I'm still a bum, so it don't matter.
Any beard companies want to hop in and be a
part
of the show?
100%.
Because we got some
we got some
products that need to be tested.
We do, guys. Check this out. So this is how wild our show has gotten. We're getting people offering us to come visit their restaurants in Orlando.
Yeah, too bad we don't live there.
Right, but they said next time we're in the area, which will be you here soon, to give them a call, talk to the owner, and you'll go get some food and test it out for the show. And hey, there it is.
I'm down for some food.
Little things are starting to happen.
And when you look at that, it's outside the Disney bubble too.
Yeah, outside the bubble.
Look at that. Look at that, venturing out like a wild animal.
You know what? They're letting you out of the gates. That's a problem. It's bad enough like the bubble episode talking about somebody pissing between palm trees like I was. Yeah. But you get to venture out and eat food and not see people piss on palm trees.
Hey, man. I'm down.
Hey, it is what it is. But tonight, so there's some big news in the Disney sphere as of 2 days ago?
Yeah. We got a new boss, dude.
We got a new boss. Effective March 18th, the one, the only, the man that we've always said was going to take over the show. And guess what? You missed your window, Josh, to be on our show. You're now a CEO. Come on. Josh Tomorrow is taking over the Disney company from the one, the only Bob Iger, who has been really in charge for a long time, if we're being honest. You know, Bob Chapek had a short run, but we've had Bob Iger from 2005 to 2020 and 22 to 26. He's only supposed to be there 2 years. He's been there 4. Chapek did.
Yeah,
right.
The guy retired.
I mean, he was the CEO of ABC before. Then he was the CEO of Disney. The guy's been CEO the majority of his life. So I want to talk about Disney CEOs and what good they have done for the company and what bad they have done for the company. Now, the fact is there has been a long laundry list of CEOs since the death of Walt Disney, because Walt Disney was the very first man, myth, legend, president, El Presidente of the company, running amok, and his brother Roy ran it with him as the financial side of things.
Money man.
But Money man, he was the man who made sure Walt did not break himself. And if you watch Disneyland,
combination, bro. What a goated combination! Like, without his brother, right. I don't think any of this happens.
There'd be none of this. No, none of it. None, zero. And if you've watched Disneyland Handcrafted yet, and if you haven't, you need to, you'll see what I mean by Disney breaking himself. There's some scenes in that documentary where, like, equipment's falling over and the people working is jumping out of it and should have died, but they're just laughing. Ha ha ha! This is the 50s. Well, there's no OSHA here. Ha ha ha!
Who cares?
You know, who cares? Right. So, but from that point forward, you had Roy as the official CEO, technically, while El Presidente was doing what he was doing, running the company from 1929 to 1971, which is funny because in 1971, what opened? Walt Disney World. He saw the opening of that park. Then you had a man by the name of Don Tatum. Now, not many people know the name Don Tatum because he was a trusted advisor and employee to Walt and Roy. And Don has a bit of a history, man. We're going to talk about some of these CEOs. We're not going to talk about them all because there's been a few, but there's some highlights that we have to hit because
Yeah.
you talk about Roy and Walt. There's no talking about them. Everybody knows their stories. Everybody knows what Uncle Walt did and what Uncle Roy did for the companies, right? But the man that came after them was Don Tatum, and he was technically really a production business manager for the company. He made sure the business, the production business side of things was running well, and he returned to the studio where he was vice president of TV and sales in 1960. Think about that. You were a production business manager in 1956, and after 1960, he returned to the studio and did what he did, and he stepped up following the opening of WDW, and he was the choice of Tatum as the chairman was part of the succession plan that Roy had put in place in 1967, right after Walt's death. So this was already in place for years. Now, do you think that's a smart play, though, to set up your next CEO years in advance, or do you want to kind of let them learn?
That's tough, bro. I mean, I think when you make those decisions ahead of time, it definitely has its benefits.
Right.
I think a big problem with Don is a lot of the same things you would get with an average person that's taking over from a legend. Is you go into more conservation mode instead of dreaming mode. So you get stuck in this, like, I don't want to mess this up. I want to keep everything as it is. And I don't want to overstep. And if you're going to make Disney be Disney and continue on, you have to find, in my opinion, the person that's close to Walt, like, that you can get that's going to be dreaming, expanding, taking risks.
Right.
Don, from what I've read, avoided all those big risks.
He did. He wasn't a risk taker.
Did not want to seek out innovation at all. So the parks ran well. Everything went smoothly. But Homeboy was basically invisible and just kept status quo and didn't let it fall apart.
He didn't let any new stuff come to Disneyland. He didn't let anything new happen to WDW. And after he left the company, he went to and served on the chairman of the board and the president of the Disney Foundation. And he also, chairman of the board, I should back up and say he was the chairman of the board at Cal Arts. You know what Cal Arts is?
Heard of it.
Cal Arts is Walt Disney's school, pretty much, for animators. Right. It was his art school. People like Tim Burton went through there, John Lasseter, what was it, 1131? Anytime you see 1131, that's the classrooms. That's the classroom that a lot of these animators and Imagineers and artists type went through.
Okay.
Now after we had Don Tatum, we want to just kind of go forward a little bit. We had a man by the name of E. Carden Walker, or Card Walker. Now everybody thinks Card Walker is a saint because of what he did. He brought us Epcot. He brought us Tokyo Disneyland, and he was really known by the stockholders for his adeptness for handling the corporate annual meeting. So he is the guy who handled it all as much as he could, and that's who took over for Don when he stepped down. And
but to play a little bit devil's advocate here, the dream for Epcot was already fully running. He just had to implement it, right?
Right. Right.
So it wasn't like this creative, fresh, new idea. This was something already well within the pipeline before even Walt died.
Well, yeah. The idea was him and Tatum were the ones who kind of played a major role in the creation of getting Epcot to the public.
Yeah,
so
getting it
when
done.
you have, so the idea for Epcot was already out there by Walt. Walt had everything he needed, and for that's all good and well, right? And that's wonderful. However, Card Walker also led the company into a very dark place. Card Walker, for all the good that he did, he was a part of the Walt Disney Productions in the 60s and 70s, and even in the 80s. But the fact is he was everybody thinks he's this great guy. He did all these great things, and I'm not saying he may not have, or he may have done all that. But when he took over the duties, he lost the foresight of what a boardroom really was. He lost control. If you look at the time from, what was it, 76 to 1980, Disney really didn't put out a lot in that time.
No.
He didn't do they did movies, but if you look at they were doing more of the live action stuff. They were doing a lot of the live action films. There weren't a lot of animated films coming out. If you look, he was implementing Tokyo Disneyland, which he oversaw that. But he stayed on as chairman until 1983, until May 1st, until Tokyo Disneyland came to fruition. However, in that time, in 1983, he almost had the company go into a hostile takeover. And that hostile takeover would have been bad for the company had it happen, because we would have had a much different Disney company. And with Card Walker pushing the company almost into a hostile takeover, to me that taints that legacy of that CEO. He was a forward thinker. He rocked the boat. He brought some new stuff to the table, and we had some new offerings. But in that time frame, you should have never had any idea of a hostile takeover bid. Wouldn't you agree to that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty shitty. But it's cool that, to me, now that we have the Disney that we have now, it is cool to reflect back on the history to see that it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. That this company went through some significant turmoil to keep it where it's at. You know.
Well, no, 100%, and it was almost a $300 million takeover. So, I mean, if you think about that, at $300 million, we almost lost Disney to a whole nother group of people.
Yeah, that's one thing that I wonder if Walt ever discussed. I'm sure at some point he did. Is like, don't ever sell this shit.
Yeah, don't ever sell this. Don't ever,
You can't.
Now, then you get to that also the other thing in that time frame, and some of this gets blamed also on Ron Miller, Walt's son-in-law.
Same time frame. Yeah, he was only there for a year, I think, right?
He was only there for a year, from 83 to 84.
But that 1 year was when they were trying to take the shit over.
And that was led by Card Walker. Card Walker literally set him up to fail in many ways, in my opinion. Okay. And I know our friend over at Science of Amusement, Lou, not our Lou, not Too Much of Disney, but Tiny Hands Lou, as they call him. He's a huge Card Walker fan, and I know he'll all hear about this if he hears this. But I don't really care. The fact is Card Walker was bad for business. Yes, we got Epcot. Yes, we got Tokyo Disneyland. But we almost had a hostile takeover. Now, the interesting thing about Ron Miller is he was Walt Disney's son-in-law. He was Diane Miller Disney, or husband. And he was a part of the company very early on. And Ron Miller, he was very smart as a business person, but I don't think he was cut out for the idea of...
I mean... Bro, can you imagine marrying into the Disney family and then potentially the thought crosses your mind that you could be running the show, and then it comes across that you are going to run the show? That is terrifying.
That is really terrifying, because he was the president of Walt Disney Productions in 1980. And then CEO in 1983. And he pushed the company to expand and explore the idea of Touchstone films. So all those great films that come out of Touchstone films, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, all these movies that Disney thought was going to fail or had adult connotation, was due to... I got a cat. You got a cat coming across the computer. Hello, Tavis.
Oh, look at that.
This is Tavis.
Get to see James's cat.
Yeah, you could have said the other word. However, yes, you got to see my orange pussy. But you think about it. We wouldn't have ever got, like, he was also experimenting with early computer animation. So he pushed the envelope. And he also, he pushed the envelope with Tron. He gave funding to an early upstart filmmaker by the name of Tim Burton with his stop motion shorts like Vincent and Frankenweenie. So we wouldn't have had those movies without, Ron Miller. And then he also gave us Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And he wanted to foster this whole different idea of why Touchstone Films was about. And he said this about Touchstone Films. He said, one day Walt called and said, I've got a film I'm running tonight. Why don't you come over? So Diane and we went over there, and the film was To Kill a Mockingbird. When it was over, Walt said, damn, I wish I could make a film like that, but he couldn't. Because Walt Disney was so tied to the idea of the films he was already making. Family friendly, very to the point. And if you've ever seen To Kill a Mockingbird, that's a very heady film for its time. It's a very heady book. So you have to think about it. He was really, a part of this. And so here's the thing. Under his leadership, Disney became a target of corporate raiders and takeover attempts. And many influential shareholders criticized his leadership. But I don't think that would have happened had Card Walker not set him up for some sort of failure. Because you think about it. You come out with all these wonderful ideas, Epcot, Tokyo Disneyland, and then you leave the company and you leave it to someone who's so green. Yes, he's a part of the Disney family. So you think the easiest way to get to somebody is through the family, right? I think Walker had that in mind when he stepped down.
And I don't like, you got to think of it from a business standpoint sometimes too, because not almost all of them, but a lot of companies that have the founder die. I mean, the point at the end of the day for everybody, but I think Walt, is money, right? And
money. Oh, yeah.
You're trying to find those dreamers and innovators, but when you're on a board and you're looking at like, oh, look, okay, we made it a pretty big thing. I think now we need to probably cash out, make some money, and all go about our lives. You know what I mean? And it takes just a small group of people to like keep this kind of magic alive, because that's the thing, man. The Walt wasn't like, hey, I want to make a theme park. Walt was like, I want to like change the whole landscape. I want a film of attractions, everything.
Right. and that's, I think, I think the idea of him being an innovator and experimenting with early computer animation gave us so much more than we.
Yeah.
So though we didn't have the expansion of the parks like we would have, because we got New Tomorrowland in 1983. We got New Tomorrowland in Disneyland. So let me look that up. Let me double check that.
So while you're doing that, can you imagine if Walt existed right now, not like how the park is, but starting from scratch with the technology and the accessibility you can get with a brain like that? Oh my God.
Right.
It'd be a whole another monster.
Oh yeah. No, New Fantasyland. Sorry, not New Tomorrowland, New Fantasyland.
New
Fantasyland came out. Sorry, I stand corrected. It was 1983. So right as he was coming into the company and Card was leaving, New Fantasyland came forward, which Disneyland needed. And then you end up with some sort of New Tomorrowland with Star Tours coming in and the IP of Lucasfilm. But due to all these corporate takeovers or possible corporate raiders trying to take over attempts, many of the influential leadership on the board ousted him in 1984, led by fellow Disney member Roy E. Disney, the son of Roy. And Stanley Gold and shareholder Sid Bass ousted Miller in favor of a trio of non-Disney executives, which led us into the Renaissance and the new era of Disney overall. We had Michael Eisner, Frank Wells, and Jeffrey Katzenberg. Now, Jeffrey Katzenberg, as we know, is a director, so they put a director there. But the non-Disney executives that we want to focus on here are Michael Eisner and Frank Wells. Now, everybody knows Michael Eisner. We grew up with Michael Eisner. Anybody who was born in the early 80s or to the early 90s will have a strong understanding of who Michael Eisner is. Because Michael Eisner changed how Disney was viewed overall. He brought back Imagineering to the forefront. He brought back animation to the forefront. And Frank Wells was kind of like that money man. He was kind of like the Roy to Walt for Mike Eisner. Mike Eisner was the dreamer, and Wells kind of handled the money aspect of it. So, what does Jeffrey Katzenberg play in all this? Well, Jeffrey Katzenberg, he was the head chair of Walt Disney Studios. So all those movies that we kind of had coming out from animation was because of Katzenberg. And that was at the direction of Wells and Eisner. Now, Michael Eisner had a good run up until, well, he didn't. And Michael Eisner, as we know, ran the company for, he ran the company, I think, for 30 years almost, 20 plus years. He ran it for quite some time, but he set the plan for the Disney decade. That's what he wanted, was the Disney decade, to bring Disney back to what it was. And I think with that, you saw a cat's tail run. I gotta let this cat in. We'll get back to hold him over for a second while I let my cat in the house. He won't leave me alone.
Okay, man, go for it. We're into the guy that I'm most interested in. Obviously, so I'm 37, so this is my era of Disney. But I mean, he brought us for World. I mean, we got Hollywood Studios Animal Kingdom under the sky. So, and Animal Kingdom now. We lost Dinosaur yesterday. R.I.P.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, they lost Dinosaur.
Did you see what
there were a lot of
the
things.
Ball? The stone at Indiana Jones in Disneyland. The ball.
Oh yeah,
off the rails.
Yeah, and knocked that guy. Yeah, fractured vertebrae and everything, bro.
Oh, it did. It fucked him up that bad.
Now, it's a 400-pound ball too.
Wow.
So, after he was a chairman for a couple of years. But he became here's the one thing I love about Mike Eisner. He became the first Eisner face of the company. So that's why we got a lot of Mike Eisner, because he became the face of the company. And when he was the CEO, you needed a face. Walt was the face of the company. Remember this. Walt Disney was the face of Disney, and he was who you saw every week with the Disneyland Report and the Wonderful World of Disney. And they didn't have anybody for that for years. There was no public face. There's nothing. And I think that's why Disney suffered so bad in those dark years with Tatum and Walker and even Miller.
Right.
Because that idea of not having a face that runs the place that you can put an idea to and know who this person is. I think that's what Disney was lacking, what the adults and even the kids alike needed from Disney alone, was that thought process. And when you have a face that is out there doing what he did, making it known, hey, we're going to make this the Disney decade. And you know what it started with? The revitalization, by bringing Roger Rabbit first. Think about that.
Huh.
They started the revitalization was Roger Rabbit. And the funny thing is, it was a Touchstone film. It wasn't a Disney film. They thought it was too risky to put the Disney name on Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, and that's a tough call back then.
It is. It really is.
There wasn't really anything like that up to that point. So I could see why that would be an issue, but
and that's the thing.
It's like little innuendos along the way too. So
it did. But you think, if we're thinking just film, they also acquired Miramax in that process.
Miramax.
They acquired Miramax, ESPN, Fox Family Channel, which is now known as Freeform, Baby Einstein, and the Muppets were all brought into the fold in that time of him being there, just in that shortest amount of time. And then we get to the 90s, which he deemed the Disney decade, but we saw so much growth. well, there were a lot of proposals that were completed. There was many that were not. But he also brought us like Euro Disney Resort, which Disneyland Paris. Then when we went to Europe, they hated us over there to start. And then you had that was the first real Disney financial disaster that Eisner faced. But then he followed that up with MGM Studios. And then he wanted the idea that I think started to seal his fate as a CEO was the Westcott idea. We didn't get Westcott, we got California Adventure. He wanted to bring Epcot to the West, and it never fully was realized. And we got the original idea of what was California Adventure.
I mean, bro, if you guys can get an Epcot, that's game changing.
Which we hopefully will with the Disneyland Forward project.
Because that's the problem with Disneyland, in my opinion, is getting people to travel there.
Oh yeah.
When there's such a small park, even though it means so much to your average family, it doesn't. It's easier to fly to Florida, and you get way more than you do if you go to California. So the more you guys can kind of pack in there and expand, especially if you get an Epcot, that's fucking sick.
And then this was another failure that he had, which was we had a couple of these failing projects. He wanted to do a high-profile Disney's America project, another park. It was based on American history in Virginia, and it did not ever come to fruition. And then he wanted to do Who Framed Roger Rabbit franchise, and then I think the lackluster beginnings of Disney's Animal Kingdom in the early years after opening it, they had a stagnant growth. There was nothing there. Yeah. So there was certain things that I think started to lead to his demise, right? And then Frank Wells dies. Frank Wells died in a helicopter crash. So all these failures, like Walt suffered, he had Roy to back him. Roy's like, all right, that's a failure. Let's move on to the next.
Yeah.
When your president dies, the guy who has your back, the guy who's helping you do things,
it's tough.
You lose your footing, you lose your way.
But I'll give Eisner some credit though, real quick.
All right.
When you're failing, you're trying. And unlike the people before we were talking about who are just kind of stewards of Walt's dream instead of trying to expand on it. I mean, I could tell you that in America's exhibit in Virginia probably would not go over. It's not the Disney thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you're trying to make shit happen, and that's fine by me. I mean,
100%. I'm all good on that. But then after Wells dies, Katzenberg leaves. Katzenberg, they had a falling out. He resigned, and then Eisner refused to pay Katzenberg and offered him a $60 million settlement. Now, this is where things get tricky. Because when he leaves, we had just done Toy Story. We had just done all these great things, and he goes off to found DreamWorks.
Now, can we just say something about the $60 million settlement?
Yeah.
We were about to sell the park not long ago for $300 million.
Yep.
And we just settled with one person for $60. So that's some serious financial growth right there too, man. If you can afford that. That's crazy.
Here's the kicker. Katzenberg was forced to take it to the courts, and the courts awarded him a $280 million settlement. And that helped him go on to found DreamWorks with Spielberg and David Geffen. And that alone changed the animation game, because now you had a competitor who came from Disney.
Which you didn't have up to that point.
No, you didn't have any sort of competition animation-wise. You had animated films coming out from other studios.
Of course, but
nothing like we saw.
Yeah.
No, because if you think about it, we got Ants and we got A Bug's Life the same year. And
I love A Bug's Life.
If you look at that, A Bug's Life is great, and Ants is great. Ants would have been. Ants is
good too. It always got the back seat though to Bug's Life, but I think Ants is equally a good movie.
I think Head and Shoulders, Bug's Life is great, but I think Ants had a better story, to be honest.
Okay.
And that says a lot because I love A Bug's Life. That's one of my favorite movies. The thing that killed ants was Sylvester Stallone. So there's that. So then after
Expand.
Wells
Wait,
dies,
hold on.
yeah,
Sylvester Stallone killed It's a Bug's Life?
no, ants.
Or
He
ants?
killed ants.
Oh, okay. I thought you said It's a Bug's Life. I
'Cause-
was like, wait a minute.
No, Stallone was in. He was the main character voice in Ants.
Right, he was the big one, right?
Yeah.
I forget the dude's name, but
So then
Lever.
Eisner went out to one of I can't remember off the top of my head, but he went out after Michael Avestivs, who was one of the founders of Creative Artist Agency, to be the president, be a president with minimal involvement from Disney's board, and which at the time included Oscar winner Sidney Poitier on the board. You had Hilton Hotels corporate Stephen Bolenbach. You had former U.S. Senator George Mitchell Yale Dean Robert A.M. Stern. And these are listen to these heavy hitters that were on that board. The biggest one there, Sidney Poitier, big actor at the time, and it's like his friend only lasted 14 months, partly due to the hostility from people like Bolenbach and Steve Litvick. So Eisner had this turnover as a president, and he didn't have the time. And then it came the Save Disney campaign, which I think ultimately killed anything or any hope of Eisner being able to return as a CEO or maintain what he had to do. And that's when he left and was outed in November of 2003. So think about that. We had Eisner for a long time. And then on March of 2004, the annual shareholders meeting, which had a surprising, predominantly ruled by board members, former board members, and Stanley Gold, withheld their proxies to re-elect Eisner. So he was outed by the people who voted him in.
And that's a good
that.
checks and balances system working itself into Disney, set up properly, I think.
So in a 2-year time span, he went on with the Save Disney campaign in 2003 and was outed by 2 years later in March of 2005. He would step down at the year before his actual contract expired. So that is a big step in a weird direction, right? When you end up losing someone who brought you from the 1980s, he's there almost 20 years. He brought us to the Disney decade. He brought us so much, but he lost so much favor due to his failures, due to leadership he couldn't find, because Frank Wells was his guy. Frank Wells was the one who helped all this.
Right.
So that leads us into the next set of CEOs, which ended up being the one and only Bob Iger. Now, Bob Iger was our CEO from 2005 to 2020. They poached him from ABC. He was the head of ABC, and he came in and has done wonderful things. As a cast member, I worked under Iger as CEO.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of good things under him. As a cast member, he cared a lot about the parks at that time. And Bob Iger has had his faults, as we all know. I mean, stepping down when he did, that was terrible.
Well,
but he's led a lot of acquisitions.
I think the parks became like more of a premium, polished them up the prices, made it, look nicer, feel nicer, you know what I mean? And that demanded a little bit of an increase, you know what I mean? But I've always thought, and I don't know a lot about any of these guys to the extent that you do, but this seems to be the era of acquisition. You know what I mean? Like buying up as much like Pixar and Marvel, Lucasfilms, Fox.
That started with Eisner, though. You think about it. He brought in, he bought Miramax. He bought Muppets. Buying the Muppets IP. Let's just talk about that for a second. Getting your hands on the Muppets IP alone, that says a lot. Jim Henson, his family allowing you to bring the Muppets into the fold. You know what I mean? That's a sought after IP. That's a big thing. And the funny thing is I remember as a kid going to Universal Studios and riding the Jurassic Park ride. Michael Eisner was so hated by the people at Universal because he would poach all these good people to come over work for Disney. You'd come down, you'd go around. There was a point where you come by the Dilophosaurus in a flipped over boat, and you'd see some mouse ears floating next to this boat, and it said Michael on the back of it, taking a stab at Eisner. So when you're following someone like Michael Eisner, who acquired a lot of different IPs, because you think about it, he brought Indiana Jones into the park, he gave us the Muppets, we got the terrible retheming of Tomorrowland, which I think was also another part of his downfall, that terrible IP, not IP, but the idea of doing the Jules Verne golden grossness of that, taking People Mover away, stupid stuff, right? But we got Star Tours, so you can literally think Michael Eisner's son for something like that, bringing in stuff of that nature. Now, we get to Bob Iger, and you're right, it's a lot of acquisitions. It's a lot of these acquisitions that, that led us to much more, like Lucasfilm. We have the Lucas IP. We have, what else? We have, we now have, we have
Marvel.
Lucas, Marvel. We have, it's this expansion. Is the era of expansions.
Pixar.
Pixar. Well, yeah, he brought Pixar back into the fold. We were a partnership with Pixar.
But like getting them back,
yeah,
that's huge.
I think
if there was ever a problem, I think that as fans, we're not business. Most of us are not like, you don't really care about the business side of things when you're a Disney lover. You know what I mean? You want the magic.
The thing that set Bob Iger apart, though, was the reacquisition of one character. One character helped set him apart from everybody. That was Walt's original character. Not Mickey, Oswald.
Yeah.
He brought Oswald back into the fold, and that came literally on a trade with NBC Universal. So there's a partnership here going on. NBC was just getting ready to start their Thursday night football, and we had Al Michaels, and Al Michaels, was being released, but they said, here's what we're going to do. We'll do a trade. We'll trade you his contract for Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. So a sportscaster got traded for a cartoon.
That's pretty dope.
So you think about that. Yes, under his leadership, we did reacquire for $7.4 billion Pixar. They reacquired the rights to Oswald. They, in 2009, acquired Marvel. And that was for $4 billion, which Marvel had been kind of under Sony for a while at that point. And then you ended up with the idea of making a deal with George Lucas in 2012 for $4 billion to acquire the rights to the Star Wars and Indiana Jones films.
What do you think, without looking, is the value of the Disney company right now?
Oh, gosh. Without looking?
If they were to sell the company, what would you think would be?
$100 billion?
You're halfway there.
Dang, $200 billion?
$191 billion. If you wanted to buy a Disney right now. I got $4.
Gosh.
What you got?
I got a quarter in my pocket, and that's not even enough for a phone call anymore. So there's that. Now, here's the thing. There were a lot of things that he did. Like he got us 20 he got the shareholders to approve the purchase of 20th Century Fox. He did bring Disney and Apple TV to competing streaming services. So it's like there's a lot that he did. But
Yeah, he
then
kept
he
up with the tech. That was nice.
What
Yeah.
was that?
He kept up with technology, you know, like
He did.
Disney
He did.
Plus, all that stuff is good moves.
They were good moves. And the thing that I think forced him to retire is when he did was the getting ready to I think COVID was the turning point of his retirement.
Right.
Because COVID happened and Disney went stagnant. He brought us Disney Plus in that time frame, but Disney couldn't do anything parks wise.
Yeah,
His hands were tied.
Pricing and the crowding too was like took a crazy turn.
Yes.
I mean, it's the Disney creating new floors with their pricing is getting like a little bit out of control.
It is. And I think that's part of it, and this is where I struggle with Bob Iger. Because we brought this up on another show. Parking, for example. Why are we charging $40 for parking?
Yeah, why charge at all?
Right. When you're worth $191 billion, why? Why are we doing that, right? Now, he did leave the company in very terrible hands for a short time.
Yeah, dude.
And I thought we were going to lose the Disney company due to red tape and culture wars. When you have a CEO that makes an apolitical company political, we struggle. Disney was never a political company. Yes, did we get into World War II propaganda and the war? Of course we did. That was Walt Disney's time frame of doing stuff. But that was a different time, different era.
But I think when it's like 9/11-esque, you know what I mean? Like when you bomb Pearl Harbor, the unity of a country doesn't become like, it's overwhelmingly like supported. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you don't use a company to make like your own, political stances.
Right. And he made that happen in Florida. And that was an issue that should have never happened. He took on Ron DeSantis and it bit Disney in the ass. They lost Reedy Creek in the process. They lost all of these things that they enjoyed because of his mouth. When Disney was an apolitical company. That is what doomed him from the start. When you make that, and then hated him. And when Chapek was ousted, they asked Iger to come back. And now we've had him for the amount of time we've had. And I think he extended. He was only supposed to be there a couple of years. And then he extended again. And I'm not saying that he hasn't done a lot of good for the company in that time frame. I mean, I don't agree with the idea of ripping up your guys' Rivers of America. That's ridiculous. But, bringing us Villains Land, trying to bring new IP and new ideas.
And for Disney, it's very crucial that their next hire be a really good one. Because after Chapek, you're bringing back Iger to just hold the fort down, in a sense. Sure, you're going to, he's going to do his thing, more expansions, tear us apart, whatever. But you're also planning. You're going, we can't bring in another Bob again. We can't do this. We got to make sure we take our time, find the right person, make it to where they're not, in my opinion, like super old. You know what I mean?
No.
Somebody younger, fresh ideas.
Somebody who is like an Eisner in a way, but who has the experience about them. And this is why I like the pick that we have now. And that pick is coming in March, the one and only Josh D'Amaro. Now, Josh Tomorrow is a younger man. He was born in the 70s, so he's only a few years older than me. He is going to be, he is 51, 54, 54 years old. He has been in the Disney parks for several years. He took over Disney parks in February of 18 through November of 19. He was the president of Disney World from 19 to 20. And he's the incumbent president, but he's the chairman right now of Disney Parks Experiences.
Yeah,
now,
Disney
under
Experiences is who bails out all the failures, to be real.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a cash machine right there.
It is. And Disney Parks Experiences, now we're going to go to the Parks Experiences and see who was running it for years before him. They've had a lot of people running it, but the fact is you have someone who, it's been around, well, funny thing is, it's as old as Josh Tomorrow. It was founded in 1971 when WDW came around. Now, they've had some good leadership over that time, obviously, but nothing like what we've had this last several years.
Yeah, it seems less corporate and more people focused, right? Like guest centered ideas and less like money centered ideas. Like he's a wonderful business guy, and he doesn't have that like that typical CEO look about you. You know what I mean?
No, he doesn't.
Like
I've seen him in the parks, and he's just an average guy with a name tag on. He doesn't treat anybody differently. He treats you as the guest, and you need someone like that. You know what I mean?
And unanimous across the board as far as voting for him.
Yeah, so. No, that is the crazy thing about that. He was I was across the board unanimous, and I've been saying this for the last couple of years. He was going to be the guy, and he was going to be the one that they chose next because he just fit the bill. When Bob Iger came into the company, he was younger. He was a much younger man, much like Tomorrow. Fresh ideas, fresh thought processes. I think the difference here, though, which is the Disney difference, I'll say, is he has been planning this Disney Forward project since he became a part of this, leadership board. He's thought about the experiences of the guests in Disneyland because he saw the growth in Florida, and he's like, why can't Disneyland be this way? And you think about it, he's going to make it that way. Because they've been kind of held back, and now he's going to have the gamut of the board. I think the telltale will be is if they bring back Wonderful World of Disney, and he starts heading those shows.
Well, I think also that people are forgetting about with this Josh Tomorrow hire is that he wasn't hired alone either.
No, he's hired with Dana Walden.
Dana Walden taking over for President and Chief Creative Officer. So while he is obviously going to be a huge operational guy, having that kind of creative tandem, I think, is pretty exciting.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Disney is all. This is the one thing I will say about Disney CEOs. If you look, they've always thrived in tandems. Yeah. They've always thrived when you hire a tandem together that kind of have a similar vision. From Walt to Roy to Eisner and Wells. When you had Tatum, you had Miller, you had Walker. There was no real tandem there. There was no real idea people. These were singular people who ran ideas. And if Frank Wells would have survived and not died in that helicopter crash, I think Eisner would have left at the end of his contract instead of having to step down. And I personally think that when you have Disney running in tandems, you see better progress in the parks. You see better progress across the experiences.
And we had a chance to talk to who did we talk to on our other show? Was it didn't we have Bob Iger on?
Mm-mm.
I thought we had one of the CEOs on before.
I can't remember who we had. But they said the same thing. They said the same thing that I just said, that Disney works better in tandems.
Right. I was just trying to remember who it was. I thought it was Iger. I thought we had him on.
No, I don't think Iger ever came on. Had we had Iger, that would have been...
Maybe I was thinking of
who knows?
Somebody else.
But the fact is when Disney is running in tandem and they are running like a well-oiled machine, there's more growth in that space. You know, and you're bringing Dana Walden with you. Dana Walden comes with her own experiences and her own ideas. And I think she's going to be kind of that the Roy to Walt for him, because he's not doing it alone. And if you've noticed, what's the one thing you notice when there's a tandem and then there's not within Disney? With the exception of Bob Iger, but there is some exceptions to him as well.
Well, to me, it just seems like his creativity is what suffers most.
Yes.
Because everybody's a businessman, which is fine. But when your business operates off of being creative, that's where you have trouble.
Now, you think about it. Under the Disney Parks experiences, we ended up with, Star Wars Land. We ended up with Batuu, East and West. But that was due to the creative forces that were out of Iger's control, right?
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, you buy the IP and you just hope, like, hey, all right, let's get something out there, right? And obviously, not one creative mind for the tandem is going to be you have a whole support system beneath you, but when you rely just on that, I mean, you really need a shot caller which I think Dana's going to be a big part of some successful stuff.
100%. And this is where I will say right here that Iger struggled. Yes, he expanded. Because we got Shanghai Disney. I'm not saying he didn't do all these, but we got Shanghai. I think we got
one of the wonderful things.
Yeah, he did a lot. We got a couple of different parks from him, which is wonderful. We got the Tokyo. We got not Tokyo, but we got Shanghai and Disney Sea. We got these wonderful parks. Right. However, that had to happen, but we didn't see any real expansion besides Avengers Campus in California, and you're going to see the expansion of, your guys' Cars Land. We saw Cars Land when I was at Disney come up. We got some good expansions, and Cars Land, I swear to you, Cars Land is the best land, hands down, between the both domestic parks. I swear to you.
Well, and let me make a point here about running things for these guys. I know we're like taking jabs at these CEOs and praising them too and stuff like that. It's not lost on us that you're in charge of some of the most needy fans on the face of the planet.
Oh God.
We bitch and complain when you change stuff. We bitch and complain when you don't change stuff. So really, it's a lose-lose until it's proven.
You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't at the end of the day.
And like Dinosaur just got wiped off the face of the planet, officially extinct. That makes me sad, but it's just a part of my childhood changing to give somebody else space to create something new. And
in Indiana,
and I don't know how it's going to go, but I still don't understand how it fits in Animal Kingdom. Where it's at. I mean, afraid of snakes.
It's snakes, 100%. Snakes.
Why
did it have to be snakes?
We're talking about Animal Kingdom,
right?
You know what I mean?
So, I just watched the Indiana Jones movies again for the billionth time. I love those movies. I haven't watched I haven't watched the new one all but like twice, and I'm not a fan of the Crystal Skull. But I watched the original three, and if you look at those films, there's actually a lot of animals within it. Camels.
Yeah, but there's so much more
I
in the
know.
Disney
I know.
space to do with that. And I guess I'm just struggling sometimes to see if I don't mind getting rid of something that was part of my childhood to make room for
Right.
something else. But you're making room for something that is also a part of my childhood.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, do you think my daughter, when she's 6, is going to care about Indiana Jones? I don't know. We'll see. But
Starter now.
there's so much more I think they could have done with that space. They're also getting rid of Rafiki's Planet Watch.
Oh,
That was just announced. They're getting rid of the rail
what?
system,
So what is
the
Rafiki's Planet
petting
Watch?
zoo.
It's a petting zoo.
You can go in there and pet, and it's a petting zoo. You can go in there and watch animal surgeries. You can go in there
What?
and there's just all this cool stuff, and they're getting rid of that too. That leaves this summer. That was just announced not a couple of days ago.
That's sad. I like petting zoos.
So
Petting
my
zoos are
daughter,
fun.
I mean, and it's going to be turned into a toddler, like a really kid play area.
Okay. Okay.
But still, it already kind of what. I mean, my daughter could go through the petting zoo and
Right.
have fun and learn about animals, and that's part of like what makes Disney different to me is you don't get to go to any theme park and
No.
take a train to a petting zoo and watch a random otter get surgery and
Right.
watch and experience these cool, these unique things, right?
Right.
There's nothing. I have a multi-million-dollar kids playground at a place called Market Commons, 20 minutes from me. It's
Right.
amazing. Savannah's playground. It's huge. I don't need another one at Disney World. You know what I mean? So that I want to see what happens to that. So I'm kind of bummed if that actually does happen. They take out that. That sucks. So we lose two major things at Animal Kingdom. Dino Land USA, totally gone now. And to have no dinosaurs at all within an Animal Kingdom and learn about dinosaurs and, you know, be a part of them. There's nowhere else now you can do that.
Maybe they'll make your Indiana Jones ride where he's going to find dinosaur fossils.
That would be a tremendous, like a great positive thing for that ride. If they did a little ode to dinosaur, that'd be sick.
So that'd be well. So here's the thing about the Indiana Jones ride in California. It's the same ride system as Dinosaur. So they can literally keep the ride system.
Well, they're keeping it.
And
they're just taking out all the dinosaur shit and making Indiana Jones.
Yeah. So it's the same ride system. It's going to be a little bit bumpy, as Sala would say, and it's going to
bitching like, oh well, Dinosaur hurt my back anyway. It's the same fucking ride, dude. They're not.
Well, here's
I don't think they're changing the whole thing, are
they? They're going to change the I think they're going to change the actual pace of it because the Indiana Jones ride itself is a little bit faster pace. It's a little bit more, rigorous. It's a little bit different than say Dinosaur. I've never rode Dinosaur, but I heard it was a little bit slower than Indy to a degree.
Crazy. It's pretty fun. I mean, it throws you around for sure.
Okay, cool. So if it's the same ride system that throws you around, then yeah, you'll probably end up with the same sort of idea. The fact is Indy fits because of the jungle. That's ultimately what it is,
Yeah.
I made the suggestion that they need to throw Short Round in that ride. Put Short Round there. Make a card cheating scene. Give everybody an ace up their sleeve. Give them like Disneyland, Indiana Jones when it first came out. It was sponsored by AT&T, and AT&T gave you these little cards to decipher the hieroglyphics on the wall.
Cool.
And that was always really it came out this like it was something random. I can't remember what the coding was. You can look it up online. But hopefully they do something like that. But something with Short Round would be cool. Just different things. It'll be fun. It'll fit the idea. But the difference is Bob Iger put all these things in motion, knowing that Josh D'Amaro will be the face to really be like, hey, it's not that bad. Yeah, we know you all are needy bitches, but it'll be fine.
100%.
It'll be fine. And
that'll be the worst job on the planet, bro. Worst job on the planet.
But you think about it. I say this, and we don't talk politics on the show at all, but this is how I view the presidency. The first 2 years of any new president coming into the office, you're finishing up the job of the last one. You're finishing out their policies till your policies finally kind of see the light of day. And that's what I think is going to happen here. You're going to see the finishing of rides and attractions that were put in place for the cement the legacy of Bob Iger. Because if you think about what happened in this time, there wasn't any real big growth. There were a lot of announcements that were made. Right. A lot of these major announcements that are going to come forward, no pun intended, because Disneyland Forward, but they will all end up being, all but the exception of Disneyland Forward, the Piston Peak, Dino, the Indiana Jones ride, that's all going to be a Bob Iger experience. That's all going to be like Avatar. Avatar was a Bob Iger experience. And that's the thing that's pissing me off at Disneyland. They're bringing Avatar and Coco to the park, and they're taking away Mike and Sully to the Damn Rescue, which is one of my favorite attractions of all time. I love that ride. Kind of like Dinoland is for you guys. I love Mike and Sully to the Rescue. One of my all-time favorites.
Now, to be fair to their decisions about Dinoland USA, the rest of Dinoland USA was this awkward, fair kind of looking place where you play like fair style games. Bring toss in.
Okay.
Big hammer you can hit and watch the thing go up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
And then you had this. I forget the name of it. It's like one of those Mad Mouse rides.
Okay. Yeah.
You're in the Triceratops, and I forget what it was
so it's like
called.
Goofy's Sky School.
Right, and then you had Dinosaur was the outlier. Walk down a path, and there's the building, big dinosaur there.
Yeah.
Now all that's gone. Indy's to the side in the same building, but they're doing Encanto, where everything else was, which is going to be kind of cool. That'll be neat. Yeah. And I think like something was Zootopia. So
Zootopia, I think a Zootopia attraction is great.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's Indy to me that like didn't
Encanto
quite fit.
doesn't make sense either.
Yeah, not really. But the Zootopia thing, obviously Animal Kingdom, you can make the whole area Zootopia.
You should have.
That would be okay. That's fine. It's the new kids thing, and I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. I just don't know how long a ride like Indy can really go on for. And Dinosaur had a great run, But I'll ride Indy. When it's done, see how it is. Come back and it's like Splash Mountain and Tiana's. Same thing, same ride, different theming. I'm always glad to see new stuff built though, so putting in Encanto, I don't know what it's going to be, but should be cool.
Here's how I feel about Josh D'Amaro, because I was doing a little bit of more reading on him, and D'Amaro succeeded Bob Chapek as the chairman of Disney Experiences. So you think about the Disney Experience that we had before he stepped up into the CEO role. Chapek wasn't very good at Disney Experiences either. The experience lacked under his service. But here's the thing with D'Amaro. He's responsible for the management of attractions, cruise ships, merchandise, and retail of all 6 theme parks in California, Florida, France, Shanghai, Hong Kong, and Tokyo. So this is a man.
About us. This guy's running the whole show now.
Yeah, like he's the management of attractions. So literally, he's overseeing what happens in the parks this last, 6 years. He has, been the face in the public talking to people. So he's gathered this information. That's the one thing I think Bob Chapek didn't rely on. He didn't rely on what the people were saying. You look at this man, and I think he was the right pick for the new CEO job.
Yep.
I think he has a world of experience. He's young enough. He's just young enough to be like still hip to the new kids. He understands us, and he's having to understand what is driving the parks today, cruises, and all the merchandise. And our good friend Lou, friend of the show, he's talked to Josh Tomorrow. He says Josh Tomorrow feels right. He feels like home.
And if
So
Lou says
think about that.
then I trust that choice.
I trust that choice, and only time will tell if that sentiment is true. But from everything that I've experienced, with the Disney parks under his somewhat of management, I have felt the experience in the last few years has gotten better.
Yeah.
However, there are some things that do need to be fixed. They need to bring back fast passes. That has to happen. That'll never happen. I'm preaching to the choir.
What happened?
I do think a revamp of Genie Plus or Genie, the Genie system, has to happen. It truly does. I think Genie is not worth what it is. I think the hotel's experience of bringing back the magic hours at the parks, you need to keep that. You can't give your hotel guests in California just one day of Genie Plus to suffice. Right. That doesn't work.
No.
There are things that he is going to have to, I think, fully embrace and look at. But he's the face that runs the place now, coming in March. And
yeah, my major point that I'll say to kind of wrap up what I feel is I feel this is the most important hire to me at this time in my life, because my childhood's over. My daughter's is just starting.
Yeah.
So this experience is all hers. I get it from my dad's point of view, so I can whatever, right? I'm making memories too.
Right.
But this is my daughter's time. So we need somebody that's going to make some magical shit happen.
Right.
Because that girl needs some magical shit to happen.
Same with my boys. This is my boys' time. My childhood is over. My boys are 8 and 10. And we'll go to the parks here soon. And we're in those prime years of like being able to really fill the experience. And again, it's one of those things that magic needs to remain. And that Disney magic has never been more felt within the parks when you have duos running the park. And I think a Disney duo of, DeMauro and Walden, you ain't going to beat it. I don't think you're going to beat it. And if they run this for the next 20 years, awesome. If they run it for the next 15 years, awesome. But give us some good shit. Please give us something that is going to make us want to keep coming back. Find a way to lower the ceiling of the ceiling and the floor. Because if you can lower the ceiling just a little bit I shouldn't say lower the ceiling. Lower the floor to where it's manageable for Disney adults. And that's the one thing that Michael Eisner and Frank Wells did. Disney under solo people outpriced themselves. They priced people out. And you look at the Disney decade that Michael Eisner and Frank Wells had put out there, Disney was manageable for families.
I agree, man. And I think a good tagline for these two, a good tagline for this combo is rebuilding trust and reigniting the magic.
Yeah.
Because that's what we need, because we're needy bitches.
Yeah. Make Disney great again.
Yeah. Please.
It's not saying it's not great, but
well, it's expensive. We can get a discount or two. That'd be good.
Yeah, throw some more military discounts out there, guys. Like, give us more. I say, because Disney's going embracing the 250th anniversary of America. And they've already embraced like more of the experience. After that, you can't dial it back. You have to keep giving back to that community. Make it cheaper for families who don't really get to go a lot. Because you think about it.
Absolutely.
If I'm taking my leave and I'm going to Disney, I don't have the money to be dropping $10,000 for a family of 4.
Right. I agree.
It's impossible. So good luck to Josh. Good luck to Dana. But I truly hope that we see what we saw with Wells and Eisner and Roy and Walt, because the single CEO and not having a good money person or someone who has your back is bullshit, and we have to get away from that. I think we truly have to get back to the Disney duo idea because it's always thrived better.
Sounds great to me. I can't wait to see what those guys do.
Yeah, me too. Guys, this was a good episode. I'm going to let Josh finish out with the sponsors. We've got some killer sponsors on tap that love us. We love them. We talk about them all the time.
I'm going to do this very quick and to the point.
Okay.
You ever looking for shit, you can't find it? You want some really unique, creative shit? Two Marines for Disney. All your Disney antiquities. You want some cool shit? Like a cool sign that looks pretty freaking neat that came right out of the park? Signs of Amusement. Check those guys out. They know what the hell they're doing. You want a cool shirt that nobody really else has that's got this Disney spark to it, but it looks really, really neat? Well, where should you get it?
I know you should get it.
Where should you get it, James?
OperationMagic.printful.me, bitches.
Man, that's our homie at the Skullface Project doing this thing with some cool, unique shirts. If you want a badass travel agent who's going to hook you up, give you all the right information, help you navigate this chaos and make the magic happen, that would be my beautiful wife who left me. This is what I got. You won't get one of these notes, guys. Okay? This is what I got before I started recording.
See that? That's a wife. That's a travel agent's wife. That's
stuck right to my computer monitor as soon as I walked in the office because she's in bed right now. So, you won't get one of those. Mm-mm. I mean, unless you're handsome, like me.
Unless your name is handsome. I mean, then you get one.
Yeah, then you get one. But that's my wife, Magic Done Right. Check her out on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Kim Dunn with Magical Travel.
Now, guys, the last thing I want to say before we close up shop here is go over to our Instagram, Operation Magic Pod. Hit that follow. Give us some love. We're always posting clips from the shows. Also, like, follow, subscribe right here on YouTube. If you're catching the clips anywhere else, it is Operation Magic or at Operation Magic Pod at both Instagram and YouTube. You'd think I wouldn't trip up over that. We've been doing it for over almost a year at this point, but I still do. But the fact is guys, we love every one of you. We're growing every day. We're doing big things this year. We're climbing this mountain together, and it's not like climbing the Matterhorn. It's like climbing something very different.
Yeah, we're having a blast. We love you guys.
We love every one of you guys, and thank you for being a part of the show. For myself, that's Joshua Dunn. I'm James Kemp. This has been Operation Magic. Which way did he go? Anyways,
you
guys
are fucking awesome.
Yeah. Take care, guys. Have a good night. Tickle the veteran. All right, squad. Listen up. You already know who we are. We are the Operation Magic Podcast. Disney loving, dad run, veteran built. Every week, we're here bringing you that magic straight to the veins. And now we've got something even bigger. It's official, guys. The Operation Magic merch. Those t-shirts, those hoodies, the mugs, stickers, you name it. All Disney inspired, all made for the Operation Magic squad. This isn't just gear. This is the uniform. You throw this on, you're not just a fan. You're a part of the family. Every piece supports this show, keeps the mission alive, and helps us keep bringing laughs, the stories, and the magic every single week. So what are you waiting for? Hit OperationMagic.printful.me right now. Grab your gear and show the world who you are rolling with. Operation Magic. Rep the magic. Rep the squad.